The hostel was old, with corridors that hummed at night. Its walls carried the whispers of generations of students, laughter, tears, whispered secrets. And at the end of the second floor, behind a faded green door with peeling paint, sat room 312. 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 lives that could not have been more different. Ruth's mornings began before the sun itself. She always rose quietly, so quietly that her feet seemed to float over the cold cement floor. Kneeling by her narrow bed, she bowed her head and whispered prayers no louder than the ticking of her small alarm clock. She prayed for wisdom, for strength, for her family back home who struggled to pay her fees. And she prayed for her roommate too, though she never said that part out loud. The other bed told another story. Vanessa's sheets were tangled, her perfume still hanging in the air from the night before, the smell of champagne and cologne mixed together. The heels she had kicked off at dawn stood in the middle of the room like trophies of conquest. Her laughter had echoed through the hallway just hours earlier as she stumbled in with bags clutched in her hands, designer handbags, glossy shopping sacks filled with things she never paid for. When Ruth whispered amen, Vanessa groaned in her sleep and pulled the covers over her head. Classes began early, but only one desk in room 312 was alive. Ruth's. Covered in neatly stacked textbooks, highlighters lined up like soldiers, scraps of paper filled with scribbles of revision notes. She bent over them like a farmer over soil, tilling and retilling the words in the hope that they would grow into success. Vanessa's desk told another tale. The surface was littered with cosmetics, perfume bottles, and tangled jewelry. The textbooks that should have been there sat unopened, pushed to the corner like unwanted guests. Instead, Vanessa's hand was usually wrapped around her phone, her laughter rising in bursts as she scrolled through videos and memes, while Ruth's pen scratched endlessly across paper. The difference extended beyond books. Ruth's phone was an old model with a cracked screen protector. She could barely keep it charged, but she used it to record lectures she never missed, listening to them late into the night with earphones borrowed from a friend. Vanessa's phone was the newest iPhone, sleek, gleaming, and constantly ringing with messages from dates who sent her love notes disguised as shopping receipts. Sometimes, in the stillness of the library, Ruth would think about these things. She'd be sitting at a table surrounded by towers of books, hunger gnawing at her belly because she had skipped lunch to save money, when her phone would buzz with a notification from Vanessa. A picture of fried chicken. A caption, "Don't study too hard, boo." And when Ruth returned to the room, tired and drained, she would find the chicken waiting for her on her desk, half-eaten, grease staining her lecture notes. Vanessa always shared, casually, without asking. A kind of generosity that looked careless, but still softened Ruth's heart. But generosity had its shadows. When the results came out that semester, Ruth's hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. Numbers stared back at her, low and unforgiving. She had worked for them, prayed over them, begged her brain to retain every page of every textbook. And yet, they mocked her. Barely passing. Struggling to keep afloat. Then her eyes shifted to Vanessa's results. Passed. Not just passed, passed with ease, like someone gliding over water while she herself had been drowning. Ruth could still smell the perfume of the night Vanessa had staggered in just hours before the exam, laughing as she dropped onto her bed fully dressed, only to wake up late and still stroll into the hall without notes, without preparation, without fear. Now, she had passed. Ruth forced a smile in the corridor as Vanessa waved her results like a victory flag. The hallway echoed with compliments, girls gasping at her scores, boys whistling in admiration. Ruth slipped away quietly, clutching her own paper like a wound she couldn't let anyone see. That night, back in room 312, Ruth prayed longer than usual. She asked God why. Why her nights in the library, her skipped meals, her endless prayers felt so small compared to Vanessa's careless laughter. Why righteousness seemed to be a harder road than recklessness. Vanessa returned late, as usual. She dropped another bag on the floor, this one filled with takeout boxes, and kicked off her shoes. You worry too much, church girl, she said with a laugh, dropping a box of wings onto Ruth's desk. Eat something before you pray yourself to death. Then she collapsed onto her bed, scrolling through her phone until the screen's glow reflected in her tired eyes. Ruth didn't answer. She just looked at the food, steam curling from it, and whispered another prayer into the silence of room 312. The room was divided not just by the line between their desks, but by the choices that shaped their worlds. Ruth's faith, Vanessa's freedom. Ruth's hunger, Vanessa's excess. Ruth's struggle, Vanessa's charm. Two women, one room, one story beginning to crack. And as the lights of the hostel dimmed into midnight, room 312 breathed with the weight of secrets neither of them yet understood.